welcome back to another video. Today in this video we are going to color in Maria Trolle's Nightfall, and we are going to be coloring with Crayola pencils. I have my swatch chart here because I want to be able to show you some of the gorgeous colors that are available in this set. And the reason I want to do this video is because I want to go over shadows and highlights and shading and where to lay your colors, how to create the best highlights, how to create the best shadows, and all of that. This video has been requested. I've done a few videos like this, I think maybe 3 I have on my channel now, and maybe I could put all of those into a playlist for you. But I wanted to do another one with the Crayola pencils because I also wanted to be able to show you that you don't need to go out and purchase very expensive pencils. If you're a beginner and you're just stumbling across my channel because you did a YouTube search and you are just discovering this wonderful hobby of adult coloring, I just want to be able to show you that you could pick up a box of 120 Crayola colored pencils and you can start your coloring journey. All you need is that and one coloring book. I have lots of flip through videos on my channel and they are all in a playlist. I'll link that playlist up above. I also have a video where I talk about where to start if you're a beginner. I'll make sure I link that in the upper right hand corner for you to be able to find that easily as well. If you've not already searched my channel, I have tons of videos for beginners. This one is also going to be a video for beginners. I'm going to make this very easy, show you how to blend the colored pencils, show you how to add the shadows and the highlights and all of that. If you check the description box down below, you will find everything down there that you've seen me use in this video: the Crayola pencils, the Nightfall coloring book. Maria Trolle has lots of beautiful coloring books available. I love them so much. The paper in them is wonderful and it works beautifully with the Crayolas. You will see that in this video. I will also have links down there for my Facebook group. If you're not already in my Facebook group, please do join us there, as well as my email list, my Etsy shop, and my Patreon if you would like to support me there. So let's go ahead and start coloring. Okay, so what made me bring these pencils out? What made me bring these pencils out is the fact that last week on Amazon, these pencils had a drastic price drop and they were only $15 for 120 colored pencils. They're literally the cheapest colored pencils you could purchase. And some of the colors that you get in this set are very, very unique and you're not going to find them in any other set. When it comes to neon colors, there are so many beautiful neon colors in this set alone. I had put these into the best color family order I knew at the time. I'm sure they could do a little bit of rearranging still. Now today, if I was looking at this, I would definitely switch some things around, and maybe I'll do that if enough people are interested. If you are, let me know in the comments section below, and I will give this set its own special color family order. But this is the first side of my swatch, and then this is the other side. This continues with the greens and the grays and the black and all of our browns. But I just want to show you some of the gorgeous colors in this set, and I want to show you some of my favorites. I did do a video already where I used a lot of my favorite colors, and I'll link that one in the upper right hand corner, but it was another video just like this one's going to be, and I am going to be coloring another butterfly to show you another color combination. But in the last one, I think I used this Fiery Rose, which is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that color. Y'all know, if you've been watching my videos for quite some time, you know I love bright colors that just pop. This color right here, this Atomic Tangerine, this is my favorite color in the entire set. If you're in my Facebook group or you watched my last video, you know that. But look at these colors, this Outrageous Orange, Sizzling Sunset, Heat Wave. The colors are beautiful. Look at these yellows. Look at this. Here's a fluorescent yellow. All of these colors I would consider fluorescent. And then down here, look at these greens. Look at this Arctic Lime, and then all of these beautiful bright green colors. There's just so many. There's some gorgeous pinks in this set. Look at these 2 different neon pinks over here. And then there's plenty of colors in the mid-tone range, and then plenty of colors to really come back and add that shadow to make the difference in the values of your colors on the object on your coloring page, really make that object pop. I am in the very back of Maria Trolle's Nightfall book. It says test your pens here, so that's just what we're going to do. I have a color combination and we're going to test it out. And I'm just going to go over how I lay my highlights, how I add my shadows, how I do my shading and all of that, and why I'm using the colors I'm using, and everything that you need to know to be able to make the object on your coloring page just totally pop off the page. So I have some colors here that I chose, and if you've watched my tutorials before, you know I may bring in other colors, I may not bring in other colors, I'm really not sure yet. And all of these in my hands, I'm not even sure if I'm going to use them all or if I'll need them all, but this is where I'm starting. So let me show you what these colors look like, because with the Crayola set, it is a very, very budget set. And what you see come out of the lead of the pencil is usually never going to be the color you see on the barrel. This color right here, especially, this is the Lemon Glacier, and it is a gorgeous fluorescent bright yellow color, and it makes the image on your coloring page completely pop and give it so much pizzazz. But here is the lead and what it looks like. Here is that color on the swatch chart. Can you see the lead of the pencil and the color that actually goes down on the paper? It is like night and day. And the barrel does not look really the same either. It's much darker than the brightness of this actual color on the swatch chart. So that is one color that I'm using. And then I have Screamin' Green, which is down here. It's another beautiful bright green color. I also love this Arctic Lime. That's gorgeous. And then I have Green Blue, and that is right here. I also have Midnight Blue, and it's a very dark, dark blue, and this is what I'm going to use to create those drastic shadows. Then I have Aqua Green. The Aqua Green is right here, and the last color I've chosen is Pacific Blue, and the Pacific Blue is right here. So I've got two fairly dark colors, the Pacific Blue and the Midnight Blue, and you could see the difference in these two colors. This one is so close to black, it's so dark, and if I wanted to go a level up from that, I can go to the Outer Space, and the Outer Space is also one of my favorite colors in this set, just because it is an amazing color to create shadows and depth. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about in this video is a sharpener, because y'all know that I absolutely love my Doll 133. I've seen a lot of people in my Facebook group that have purchased the Crayola set, the 120 set of Crayolas very recently. They are very hard to sharpen in the Doll 133. I did sharpen my whole entire 120 set in that sharpener because that's all I had at the time. And it handled every single one of those 120 pencils like a champ, and it's still going strong. But if you've got issues with your hand, I wouldn't suggest using the Doll 133 anymore. I would grab this Jar Link. It's a fabulous pencil sharpener. I have a review on this. I'll link it in the upper right hand corner. But I need to go ahead and sharpen these because y'all know I like to have nice sharp leads on my pencils. And you could see that it stops immediately. Now, always leave it on the number 3, and that is where it needs to be to make sure that it stops when it's supposed to. But that would be my first tip. Have a good pencil sharpener, and always make sure that your leads are nice and sharp. Look at those beauties. Love, love, love sharp leads. Okay, so I turned my book at this angle because this makes it easiest for me to be able to color the way that I need to be able to color and still show you exactly what I'm doing at the same time. So I'm going to take this Lemon Glacier and I'm just going to lay this color in the areas where I know that I am going to want a really bright highlight. And I'm just going to do this side. I think I'm going to start the video by doing this one side just like I did my last video where I used the Crayola pencils. And so I think I'm going to do just the one side of the butterfly, and then I'm going to speed it up to music while I color the other side the same, because I really feel like that helps a lot when you want to see something just come together really quickly. It shows you how it just all comes together right before your eyes, and it looks really neat to watch. So I think I want to add in a little bit of this Screamin' Green, and I don't think I'm going to use too much of this color because I think some of the other colors are going to show up a lot more, and this one doesn't show up too much. I wonder if I should use maybe something a little bit brighter. I'll have to check my swatch chart. But I think I could probably go to this aqua green and we'll add a little bit of that. Now, this is going to create a little bit of a contrast between the colors because we're going from aqua green into the yellow, and so it's going to make quite a bit of a difference. And so I'm just going to add this color down here on the ends of the wingspan. And I'm not worried about this area here yet. I really don't know what I'm doing with that part yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add this all the way up to the top. And I'm using very light pressure because that's how you have to lay these Crayolas down. They are a much harder pencil and they go down much easier in very light layers. And you can see that I'm still getting quite a good amount of pigment coming out of these. I think I'm going to put a little bit of the teal here to the inside. And of course I'm calling it teal, but it's aqua green. Let's see how much darker this green blue is, if this is going to make any difference. Oh, and it does. How pretty is that? And right now I'm just trying to get the colors down where I want them, just to get an idea of how I want this to look in the end. But I'm making sure that I leave all of this area here as my highlighted section. And of course that's going to change as we continue to color this. Let's go ahead and use the Pacific Blue. Now I think I'm going to use the Pacific Blue up here and pull this down just a little bit. That yellow that I have going here through the center, that yellow can definitely, once I lay down a couple more layers, it will definitely get much more intense and much brighter. So I think before I come back up here and do any more of this area, I think I want to get an idea of what I want to do down here, and I really want this butterfly to be sort of all the same colors. So I'm going to come down here with my midnight blue, and I'm going to add some of this down here much darker. And I don't know where I'm going with this yet, but we will see what happens. And I'm thinking that maybe if I use a blend of a couple of the colors, it will really change it up and make all of this pop. And I'm trying to keep this area here so that I could make that really pop right here in this section, just like this section here. And then because this section is separate from this section, I really want the separation between these two sections to show. And so that will really help our image to pop off the page and really create a lot of added depth and dimension. I'm gonna go ahead and try this Screamin' Green down here. And I think we need just a little bit of a teal down here to sort of blend a lot of these colors together. Oh yeah, that's pretty. So you could see I'm taking this aqua green and I'm putting it right over the top of that midnight blue to not just create another layer, but also sort of blend those colors together to create another color. And look how pretty that is. So all of these little decorative areas or little circles that are here on the butterfly, I'm going to come back and do something else with those, and I'm going to show you what I'll be doing with those. That'll be closer towards the end of the tutorial. Let me go ahead and start by adding some of the same colors up here because I really like how that turned out. So don't ever be afraid to test out what you're doing. And if you don't like the way that it turns out when you test it, you can always come back and erase it. So I'm going to use a little bit harder pressure here and really get some of this color down on the paper. You see what a difference that makes? And especially now that I know that I like the way that it turned out, I can come back and use a little bit harder pressure. If you're unsure about anything that you're doing, you want to just take your time, add the color, and see how it turns out. So now I have the Screamin' Green, and I'm going to go all the way up here with this color, and I'm going to go over these other colors, and I'm going to sort of again use this color to blend some of these colors out. And then I'm going to come in over here and add a bit of a darker color so that I could create that depth and dimension. Now that I know what I'm doing down here and around here, I'm going to come back with my midnight blue, and I want you to watch the difference that this makes when I start to come in here and add this color. And this is exactly how you create all that extra depth and dimension. And you're going to start to see that it really comes to life and starts to really pop off the page with this color because this color is so much darker. So I'm going to do the same thing here over these lines that the artist put here on the butterfly. And of course, after I do this whole area, I will come back and blend some of these colors in. And I hope that those of you that have Maria Trolle's book and have just gotten your set of Crayolas, I hope you're following along with this tutorial. And if you do follow along with this tutorial or any of my tutorials, please share it in my Facebook group. And if you're not already in my Facebook group, do make sure that you join us. I always have the link in the description box below. You see how just by going over those lines that are already there, it's creating tons of extra depth and dimension just by adding in this color, because this color is so much darker than the others. And don't ever worry if you go out of the lines. It's really not that big of a deal. And probably no one's going to notice it except you. And there is always our little trusty mono eraser. So I know I always talk about the mono eraser. It's just a very, very small eraser, and you use the tip here to push this down, and then you can just use it to erase very small areas if you go out of the lines. Okay, so I'm going to start coming back with some of my other colors and pulling this darker color up. See how it just blends those colors out? Like I said at the beginning of the video, I really wanted to do this video because I wanted to be able to show you that you don't need to run out and buy really expensive pencils, especially if you are just discovering this hobby and you don't know if you're going to stick with it. You don't want to have a whole bunch of pencils laying around or a whole bunch of art supplies just laying around that you're unsure if you're going to use them all or not. And the Crayolas are a great place to start. Okay, so you could see how much depth and dimension it already has. And I'm going to come back in here. Actually, I think first I'm going to come in here with the Screaming Green. And I'm going to just try to add another layer of this color and see how much it changes it up. And again, I'm going right over those decorative spaces just because I'm going to come in and do something else with those, so it really doesn't matter if they're covered up. And I'm going to come in here and sort of blend these colors out, and I'm staying out of the spaces where I have that pop of yellow. Now I'm going to grab my lemon glacier and watch how by just going over this another time, how this color just really pops. Look how bright and gorgeous that is. And then it blends together the other colors at the same time and really just brings everything together. It's gorgeous. I love the colors in this set so much. They're so vibrant and gorgeous. And then maybe add just a little bit of this down here, and it will lay right over the top of the other colors. And then maybe a little bit over here. And I'm using quite a bit harder pressure because I'm trying to lay that color over the top of the others and blend it in with those other colors. And I'm just going to put it here on the end so you could see a little bit of a difference from where I laid the Screaming Green to these other colors. Now if you look at this, you could see how this is a separate area here and this is a separate area here, and because I've got the much bolder colors right here down at the bottom, I've created the separation between this section and this section. And then because I've got the lightest colors right here, it really made it look like it's lifting up off the page. I absolutely love it. You'll have to let me know what you think of this down in the comments section below. But we still need to come over here and we're going to color in this area here. And I already know that right here I want a pop of this yellow. And then I'm just going to, I think, randomly just blend some of the other colors into this. I'm starting with the Screaming Green because I need to blend some of these colors out here that I had already laid down, trying to get this lemon glacier as bright as I could possibly get it so it really stands out. And I think I'm going to use the aqua green to add a little bit of that right here over that other green because I just don't think that was dark enough. If you ever do anything on your coloring pages and you're unsure of it or you don't like the way that it looks, just try to go right over it just like I did right there. But when you're doing that, always make sure that you start with the lightest color and then you go into the darkest color, because you could always take a darker color and lay it right over the lighter colors. So one last time I want to show you how I'm going to create all this extra depth, and you're gonna be able to see it start to lift even more off of the page. I am coming back here with my darkest color, which is the Midnight Blue, and I'm going to make another layer all around the areas where I want to have that separation or really make it look like it is popping off the page. This is going to help to create a darker shadow in all of these sections. And then if I just go up here and then go over these lines some more, that helps to create a little bit more depth between each one of the sections of the wing. And then always come back with your next color and make sure that you pull that color out. And even with these Crayolas, you can get down so many layers, but I like to make sure that my colors all look very smooth. And in some cases with my cheaper budget pencils, I'll grab like a white Prismacolor or even a blender pencil sometimes, but I really like for my pencils to blend together on their own. And I find that even these really super cheap Crayola pencils, they're blending together beautifully. I've not used anything else here. And then I'm going to come back with my Screamin' Green and I'm just going to blend some of these colors together a little bit more just so that we have a nicer transition. But see how if you use colors that have a pretty big difference in values and they contrast from one another, how you could create so much depth and dimension. And then I'm just using this Lemon Glacier to blend all of these colors in and brighten them up. And then right in here, I think I'm going to come in here and make those really dark. So I'm just going to straight color, I think, with the Midnight Blue. Oh, I might need a blend of two different colors. Let me go ahead and come over that with the Aqua Green. And now I think I'm ready to go to the other side. And like I said, I'm going to do the other side exactly the same, but I'm going to speed it up to music as I do it. And make sure you watch the speed through because it will really help you to see it really come together and pop off the page as it's happening, and it's going to be much faster, so you'll be able to see, if you watch that, the difference from what just a few layers makes compared to after you get all of those colors down on the page and have created all that extra depth and dimension where it's just literally popping off the page. It's really cool to watch. And then after I'm done doing that, then after the speed through set to music, I'm going to come back and we're going to color the center, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with all the little decorative pieces all down here around the butterfly. Both of the wings are done, and I absolutely love these colors together. I think this is just so gorgeous. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments below. But we're going to go ahead and color in the center of the butterfly now. I'm going to use the same colors in the center of the butterfly that I used over here on the rest of the butterfly, because I sort of want this butterfly to just all come together and look really beautiful and be just these colors. But I'm thinking that in the center, I'm going to put a lot of yellow because I really want it to pop. And I know this video is all about adding your shadows and your highlights and all of that. And I get questions all the time about where should I lay my highlights and where should I lay my shadows? When I am coloring something like this on a coloring page, I like to lay my highlights wherever I feel like they will look pretty. I don't focus as much on something like this and sit here and think, okay, well, where is the lighting coming from? Where should I lay my highlight color? And where should I lay my darkest colors? I would much rather look at my coloring page and see the images on my page really just pop and have all kinds of depth and dimension. And the way I do that is by making sure that I'm using colors that contrast from one another. So let me just show you really quick on the color wheel what I mean by all of this. And when I say I usually like to use colors that are contrasting from one another, this is the color wheel that I always use, and it's really, really helpful. It tells you all over here exactly what everything means, how to find your complementary colors, your split complementary colors, your triad of contrasting colors, monochromatic colors which would create harmony, and so on. So if I look over here, split complementary is one key color as well as the colors on either side of its complement. For example, yellow, blue violet, and red violet. So the example they're talking about here, let's go ahead and use that one. So they are using their key color as yellow. To find those colors, you would just go down the line here, the dotted line that says split complementary. And so that brings you over here to red violet. And then the other side where you see the dotted line brings you over here to blue violet. And so those colors are split complementary and would create contrast. Now on my butterfly here, I am using lots of yellows and blues and some teals and colors like that. I'm sort of creating a triad of colors with mine, because you could see here a triad of colors is 3 colors that are equally spaced from one another. So here is my blue, and then if I come down here on this line where it says triad, I'm here at yellow. So that's why I always like to use blue and yellow together. And then when I'm working on blending some colors together, I always like to bring in some of the colors that are next to my key color. So here you could see that we've got the green blue, and then we've got a blue green, and then we get into greens, and I used a lot of those shades. So I'm sort of staying over here on this side of the color wheel, but I added that yellow in there for that pop of color because the yellow is contrasting from the blue. So that is why I did that, and that is how we ended up with this. Most of you know that if you take blue and you blend it together with yellow, you create green. And so that's why I added in a green, because all throughout the butterfly you can see that my yellow and blue sort of blended together. And so I added in a lot of this blue-green color. What is this? Aqua green. So I have aqua green, and then I had the green blue. And so I got a lighter color just because I wanted to give them a smoother blend. And I think that this color really helped to just bring all of the colors together. And it was still light enough that I could blend that into this yellow here. So let's go ahead and keep working on the center of this butterfly. So I think I'm going to put the blue on this side. I want him to have just a pop of yellow, like a pretty big pop of yellow right here in the center, because I really think that is going to stand out a lot. And this will be pretty quick for me to color in. I think I'm going to do the same thing all the way down. And I'm sort of just lining the outsides too. And I am going to come in with a darker color that I've not yet used, and I'll show you why in a minute. But I want to be able to create a separation here, and the colors, because they are the same, they're not going to be dark enough for me able to do that. So I went and grabbed an even darker color, so I can still, even though all these colors are the same, I could still make the center really stand out. I'm going to blend some of this aqua green in here, and I'm sort of just blending these colors so that I don't have those really harsh lines. You don't ever want to keep harsh lines with your colored pencils. You want to make sure you blend everything out. And I always, when I come in with my darkest color, I always come in with my mid-tone and I blend it out. And I'm using the lighter green here so that I could get a really nice blend of these colors. This section down here is probably going to be a little bit harder to see because it has all those lines in it. And I'm trying to just sort of avoid those lines and act like they're not there. And right now I'm just working on creating those layers. And I'm still using pretty light pressure. Look how gorgeous this butterfly is. Oh my gosh, I love these colors. And you could see like right here where I'm putting that yellow over the blue, it's turning into green and it's so pretty. These Crayolas make really beautiful color blends if you put the right colors together. And not just that, you have 120 colors to work with, so you get a really good amount of colors. So again, I'm making it much darker right in here just because I want to create the separation between these two parts of the butterfly. And I am using a little bit harder pressure now. To use harder pressure with your pencils, you just move your fingers down a little bit closer to the tip of the pencil, and that will really help you to put more pressure on the pencil. This is my aqua green. I'm adding in this color to create a little bit more of a contrast. Okay, so let me do the antennas here. I'm gonna put my darkest color at the very tips. And then I'm gonna come in with my aqua green. I'm gonna start all the way at the top and blend those two colors together as I pull it down here. After I get a really nice blend of these two colors, I think right here and here, I want to do this bright yellow. And I really love these two because they are such a hard pencil that they always keep a sharp tip. You saw that I sharpened these at the very beginning of the video before I even started to color this butterfly. And look at my tips of my pencils. They are all still sharp. Now, most of you know that I just got the Holbeins, and oh my gosh, I'm so in love with those pencils. But I want to cry. It's like I'm enjoying using them so much, but every time I use them, it's almost like I want to cry because I see them getting smaller. And these pencils, these will last you literally forever. I think I have pretty much used all the tooth of the paper, but look how this butterfly is just popping. It's got so much depth and so much dimension. And I didn't sit here and worry about, okay, well, where is my light coming from? My light is coming from over here. And so I want to make sure all my highlights are on this side because that's where the light would be hitting. I don't focus so much on that. And I think when you start to focus too much on that, I think that it gets a little bit more frustrating and a little bit more complicated. And we are colorists, and we are really not trying to be perfect artists or create anything that is absolute perfection. We just want our coloring to look absolutely beautiful. We want to be able to look at it and say, oh my gosh, I love it. And the whole point of watching tutorials like this is to learn from them and pick up little ideas here and there, and maybe watch other tutorials you see on YouTube and take some of those ideas and put them together with yours and come up with your own coloring style. But I really love how this turned out, and I didn't focus as much on where is the lighting coming from. I laid my highlights where I want them. I created a lot of depth. I laid my colors down that are going to create the shadows in just the places where I want them, where I wanted to create the separation between the two parts of the butterfly. And it turned out beautiful. Now I'm going to show you one more little thing before the end of the video, before I come in and show you what else I'm going to do. But first I'm going to come in here with this outer space color. This is a very dark blue. It's a gorgeous color. It is so dark blue that it's almost black. And I love to use this color for shadows and to create extra depth. And I'm going to go over this butterfly, and I'm going to do that in certain places. And as I do that, I'm going to speed it up to music. Okay, so those of you that have watched my videos before, you know that I'm a little obsessed with stickles. They are the most amazing thing ever, and anytime I'm coloring butterflies, flowers, anything like that, I love to add a pop of glitter. I've picked this color, and this one came in a package. It doesn't have a name on it, but I think it is the lime green because they look pretty much the same. I tried gold, and gold didn't look as pretty, but if you want to try stickles out on something just to see what color works best, you could always lay a little bit down and then just wipe it up. That's what I did before I turned the camera back on. So we are going to go ahead and add stickles. I'm going to use this color. So those of you that are interested in grabbing some stickles for yourself, I always have a link down in the description box below where you can grab some stickles for the absolute best price. I'm going to go ahead and add the lime green stickles to my butterfly, and I'm going to speed it up to music so you can watch the butterfly come to life. Our butterfly is all done, and I hope that this video was helpful. I absolutely love the addition of the stickles. And you could see that by adding the stickles, that creates even more depth to whatever it is you're coloring by adding those accents, because it sort of just lifts a little bit. If you saw while I was applying it, I sort of go up and down, and that helps to take the stickles and lift them a little bit. And so it really gives some more dimension to whatever it is you're coloring. And that's why I love adding them to flowers and butterflies, just to give it a little bit of extra depth, but also some bling. Because I always love when things shine. I love glitter. It's absolutely beautiful. I hope this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up. I hope you learned just a little bit more about adding some depth and what to do to make your lightest colors or your highlights and your midtones and your shadows all come together to make the image on your coloring page really pop and stand out. And everything that you see me use in this video today, I will have linked down in the description box below. And I will see you in the next video. Happy coloring. Bye.